What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Real Time with Dan. You thought this series was being killed off? Not quite. I just put it on the shelf for a little while. I just thought, to be fair, I haven't done one of these in a very, very long time. It's time to get the old stealth out again, even test out this nice little pop filter I put on it, and sorry if you heard that. But of course, there's a lot to discuss today because, of course, everyone in the UK has probably seen the news or seen the news bulletins or even seen what's been happening around the government. So, yes, it's happening again. And to be fair, am I angry? Yes. Am I mad? Yes. Do I think this should have happened sooner? I think so, because let's be real, if we weren't put into another lockdown soon enough, the cases could spiral out of control, but at the same time, do I think the economy is going to suffer more damage? Absolutely. So, that's why they did actually have to increase or indeed extend the furlough scheme. And let me explain. They originally were going to just bring in the job retention scheme, which I do believe is just basically another name for it, but I don't know. Please no one quote me on that. I'm simply like, don't shoot the messenger. But again, it's on every single news bulletin or any news channel you go onto. The government was going to announce it. And the thing was, he was going to announce it on Monday, but believe it or not, he did it literally, and it's Sunday today, and he announced it yesterday. So there you go. It just goes to show that, you know, there are leaks in society, and that's where it all came from. But I tell you what, now that we've got that out the way, I think it's officially time we get off of COVID news for the meantime, because let's be real, it's the most depressing thing since we heard about Prince Philip being in a car accident at 97. So let's just go ahead and just move it swiftly on. But what's really new? Well, this year has seen a absolute bunch load of new stuff coming out. I mean, heck, Canon, Sony, everyone has been at it. And this is really an exciting year for it. Now, am I interested in stuff? Absolutely. Would I get it if I could afford it? 100%. Would I get it now? No. The reason is because, unfortunately, I tend to stick with sort of old familiar, if that makes sense. I mean, the stuff I'm using right now is what I'm using for the meantime, and it's what I've been using now for about the last year or so. And I wouldn't replace it in a heartbeat. Because the fact is, I've become so familiar with it, and it's good to get used to things that you've already started working with. Some people get into their heads, they need to be recording with the best gear, you know, the best camera, the best lens, and then of course, you know, the best microphone, the best monitor, the best laptop, the best PC, the best speakers. The fact is though, you don't. I learnt this kind of the easy/hard way, because I have started to spiral out of control with the amount of stuff that I bought. Sorry mum, I didn't mean to do that, but heck, unfortunately video gear, if you get into it, it does become a bit addictive. But I've started to just ease off a little bit now, and because now of course we're going into November, the festive season is upon us, and heck, what can I say? We ought to be grateful, and the only problem is, of course, real quick, the lockdown does extend to the 2nd of December, but there is a chance they might make it longer. But you know, cross fingers, people, cross fingers. But yes, the festive season is coming around pretty soon, so now is a good time to start looking for things to buy people. And well, for once, I've actually been organised this year. Like, I've actually started to look, and believe it or not, it actually is. You know, it's not as easy as you think, like, especially when you haven't got people around you to tell you what ideas. Obviously, you can just let them know on phone and whatnot, but still, I just find it, you know, I mean, at this time of year, it can be awkward looking for gifts, because obviously, you know, bonfire night and things like that, but let's be real, it's better to be more organised than not. And heck, we've just had Halloween, and it's the first Halloween I've had where I've not dressed up, and that's really weird for me. I have to be honest, that is a very odd sensation. If I could describe it, it's a bit like you could probably put a finger on it with any way, shape or form, but it's a bit like having pancake day with no pancakes, or a bit like having Remembrance Day without poppies. It just felt like that. And the fact was though, like, there wasn't really a lot I could do about it. And to be fair, there wasn't really a lot we all could do about it, because, as I say, it was only just yesterday, and that was, of course, when so-and-so did what he did. So, Yeah, but still, we have to look on the bright side of things. We still have each other, we still have our families around us, and we all still have got each other as, support. And heck, the support has been pretty darn amazing as of late. The amount of feedback I've been getting on my videos, it's definitely allowed me to change up my style in a few subtle ways, which I do find is a good way of developing yourself as a creator. And that's what's important, being able to create content that everyone will enjoy. And I always say this, but I'm always grateful for every bit of support that everyone offers. Every like, every comment is much appreciated. I never ever ask for it. I only say, if you can just leave it behind, I am more than grateful. But even a like or even a comment is more than enough. I know it sounds really silly when I say this sort of stuff, but I honestly do genuinely mean it. And a few names I could shout out right now is I Am Tor. I could also shout out my man Osh. He's been commenting on my last few videos, and I do appreciate it by literally a mile. And I also will appreciate Mr. Sam Glenny. Yes, thank you very much, man. I do appreciate the fine comments. And also Skara Games, also known as Sarah. Of course, all these people, I know they are people that I know. They're like some of them, a couple I know very, very well. Like one of them I've not even met yet, but the fact of the matter is, who cares? It's a community, it's a society, and I'm happy to have it. So as I was saying, tech talk. Canon has been coming out with a bunch of new models. They've already released the R5 and the R6. It's part of their full-frame mirrorless lineup. And the thing is, I've noticed recently the R5 has been a bit disappointing. The first thing everyone kept complaining about was, indeed, the overheating issue. But then they released firmware, which sort of allowed you to record for slightly longer in 8K. This is the thing, though. That amount of power in that small body, you would expect it to overheat anyway. I mean, heck, I remember when old Sonys used to do that. They used to go for the quality, and then, whereas Canon, they would initially put tech in there, but then they'd restrict it to a certain degree to ensure it didn't overheat at all, and you get constant use out of it. Now, I feel like Sony and Canon have sort of switched over in a way, if that makes sense. But the thing is, Sony came out with their Sony a7S III, and that camera is actually looking a lot better than the Canon, if I'm being honest. And if I had to make a pick, I would choose the R5 and the R6 for the photography specs, because full frame mirrorless, very high megapixel count. I definitely do agree. I would rather use that for photography. But if I was to use one for video, Sony a7S III all the way. In fact, the Sony a7S line is designed purely for video first. And that's the thing. That's where people go very wrong. See, this ADD I'm using right now, this is purely for photography only, but it has video capabilities, but it doesn't have anything like C-Log or anything like that. It only has, your standard color profiles. But then again, I'm not too shabby with that. Like, I don't do many color corrections. All the colors you see in the background there, they're all completely they're all real. I've not done anything to make them stand out. They're just as they are. And the lighting on me is all completely artificial lighting. The light's at 10%, and heck, I'm happy with the image I'm getting. And that's the thing. As I've already said before, get the gear, get good with it, and don't keep investing in better and better gear unless if you've got a designated purpose for it. And this is what I've learned. And so, anyway, also another little company that I ought to mention, which I haven't actually used in a while, is GoPro. They recently released their GoPro Hero 9. Now this, I do believe, is a direct competitor to the DJI Osmo Action, as well as the Insta360 One R, I think is what it's called. And this is very interesting because it actually does come with a front-facing display, just like the DJI Osmo Action, if I remember correctly. And please don't quote me too much, but this is what I mean. So, as a result, Canon let me start again. So, GoPro initially was going to let me just start again. From what we heard, like from early rumors, we assumed this would be the case with a front-facing display that actually did display like a sort of like a selfie screen, and expectedly so we did. And to be fair, I'm pretty impressed with it. Like, it looks pretty good. It does introduce 5K. I do believe that the image or the actual sensor is slightly bigger than a GoPro Hero 8 backwards. But here's the thing, I won't be buying it. Like, the specs all look really good. 5K at up to 30 frames a second, 4K 60. I think it has 2.7K 120, 1080p at 240. The thing is, that's not anything different. That's pretty much the exact same. The only thing that's really different is, like, it has, I think it's got horizon leveling and things like this, as well as a few other little gizmos, but it also has a different battery, so it means you've got to go out and spend more money on batteries again. So unfortunately, that's a bit of a money pit for me, and just one that I don't think it'll be worth it. So I'm happy enough with the Hero 7, because the Hero 7 was the last GoPro I ever bought before I started using Canon cameras. And of course, you know, I do respect GoPro. They've gone a different direction, and I do think this could be, you know, this is a very modular system, and I'm pretty darn impressed with it. Like, I can't fault them for it. And I can't really fault Canon for what they're doing lately with their R5 and R6 models. They want to make a flagship model, but here's where I really think the similarities end. Their Canon M50 Mark II, which is basically, it's part of their APS-C line. It's sort of bridging the gap between professional and consumer. So kind of like prosumer, or you could probably say like either cheap high-end or expensive low-end. It's basically, the M50 was a phenomenal camera, and I know this from many other videos, and also I think I did actually get hands-on, I did sort of have, there was a friend of mine who had one, but unfortunately he got rid of it. But as far as I could tell, it worked very well. It produced about the same quality as this camera, and maybe slightly better. But I will say, the Mark II, I'm not impressed with it. First of all the frame rates and resolutions are the exact same. Okay, and the next thing is, it's kind of, I think they made a big deal out of it, saying they've improved the autofocus, so it develops, I think it's eye tracking or things like that, and it also improves maybe slight other little aberrations and things like that. But to me, I'm just thinking, well, okay, so that's pretty much the upside, but what else? Like, surely you must have done something else. And the thing is, everything from the sensor to the megapixel count is completely the same as the Mark 1. So I'm thinking, well, what's the point of that then? I may as well just get an M15 normal camera. I may as well not go for the Mark 2. I mean, maybe if the autofocus is a bit better, and I am a person who is a big fan of autofocus, which I am, but for that reason, if I'm, say, doing fast action sports and I need to focus on someone, maybe there's a reason for it, but I would still go for the M50 Mark 1. I just think it'd be a much better spend of money, and especially for people that already have a Canon M50 in their possession, I would still stick with it. I wouldn't ever upgrade it. I don't know, it's just one of those things, really. You end up just having to look back and just see the evidence for yourself, really. But I think this also reminds me, I thought I'd do a little bit of a recap of previous videos. In fact, especially the sketches. I have to say, ever since I've started doing sketches, I've definitely been finding myself being a lot more happy about it. Even if they don't get amazing views. I mean, heck, as I mentioned in my last video, which was feeling philosophical, which was sort of, as it says, and in fact, I'm feeling philosophical now. When you look back, I mentioned it was called, the video that I was talking about was called, I have no idea at all, is what I think I titled it. Because again, I had no idea. Originally, I was going to just call it Halloween surprises, or maybe, I don't know, Mystery of the Haunted Bucket. I don't know. It was literally the most random thing I concocted in my brain. It was literally a little brainwave I had. I thought, do you know what? This just sounds funny. I'm just going to do it. And admittedly, I will admit, when I was editing that video, I just looked at myself and went, why? Why am I doing this? And yes, I will admit, I still say to this day, why did I do that? But I look back now and everyone is laughing their heads off at it. Fair to say. And that was kind of the point of it. It was random, but the randomness is what makes things so funny. That's why I enjoy ASDF movies, because they're so random, but that's because that makes them so funny. And this is the thing, and my most recent one that came out was called Compromise. And I wanted that to be a bit more serious, more dramatic, more thriller, more like, oh my god, like what's going to happen? And it wasn't anything. I mean, I wasn't taking it too seriously. Heck, I was really just trying to make it look I was trying to be a little bit silly with it, but at the same time, be nice and serious, because a bit like if you could take maybe someone like James Bond, for example, or I don't know, maybe Mission Impossible. It's sort of that sort of thing. That was the kind of vibe I was going for, or basically just like the film Identity Theft. And it just goes to show that sort of gives you gives you the gist of, is that going to work? And also, is it a good idea? And is it also a good concept? And heck, I do believe the execution of it wasn't too bad, but I will take any feedback I can take. And even if it is brutal, if someone says, it's rubbish, that's fair enough. I'll say, okay, I understand what you're saying. If there's any video you would be up for me to make, what would it be? And it's not as easy as that, because oftentimes the ideas are meant to be forming in your own head. This is where problems start to arise, because sometimes when you're under pressure, you do sort of cave in a bit and you think, oh no, what am I going to do now? But lately, I've sort of been thinking, do you know what? I'm just going to really go into the side of my mind that I've never really looked into before, which is the weird side. And sometimes it is weird videos that people watch more often than not. I've noticed this because, heck, Mr. Beast didn't start Mr. Beast started just looking at random intros and putting a very funny twist on it. And I thought that was quite funny. And heck, when I do reaction videos, I do enjoy them, to be honest. I do find sometimes they can be slightly awkward, but at the same time, I will say they are videos that I do enjoy making. And heck, if I could, I said heck again, didn't I? And I know someone did note this. Yes, thank you, Sam. Thanks for making me suffer. I like saying heck. Heckin'. The fact is, though, I really am just trying to build the audience in a natural way. I wouldn't ever go out and say to people like, subscribe to my channel right now, please. Or, I would never pay them. I would never do that. Never in a million years would I ever force someone to subscribe. Like, as compared to someone else that I used to know. But I think that's all I'll say about that one. But yes, I do plan to do more sketches in the future, and I'm thinking about different kinds of styles, creating different characters, maybe even, like different props as well. It's really improv, and that's the thing. I love it when it's all about improv, especially, in fact, I actually did have to read from a script to do the Compromise sketch. Believe it or not, that was basically, I had to think of that. I had to remember what I had to say, and I had to make sure it sounded good. And well, especially when you've got to consider you've got to make everything yourself. All of that was pretty much edited by me. And believe it or not, it wasn't actually that hard to make in general regards. I've found, especially these sort of videos, these videos to be a little bit trickier, because obviously I've got to align clips, but because actually this time, despite me bringing the laptop and putting it over there, I'm not using it. I'm really just using it just to record my audio mostly. And this is the thing, I'm not trying to make out that I'm lazy. I'm just trying to make it out I don't necessarily need things to back me up, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to just say the content I provide, I do work half-heartedly hard on it, I would say. I wouldn't say it's my best effort, but I do try, and it is something that I enjoy. But the thing is, everyone's got different styles of content. Heck, I've been watching so many new people as of late, and sometimes I've never looked back, because sometimes I've noticed that creators just change, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. And obviously, I think we can all agree, we all hate the titles saying, like, you know, I got into trouble, I got put in jail, you know, whatever. Like, if you're in jail, then how are you able to post the video? Clearly you can't be in jail. You must just be put in a playpen with a box on the top of it. It really just makes no sense to me at all. None at all. It really does baffle my mind. But another idea I've been thinking about was taking some stock footage of mine, because I actually, over the summer, I shot a bunch of stock footage out with my dad and all that sort of place. Like, literally just of, like, fields, me and him walking, like, with the dogs. In fact, I'll even show you a little sample of it. I actually did show you in another video, titled, I think it was, This is Happening Too Often, but It Needs to Be Addressed. I do believe that was the title. And I did also mention about reviewing the tool that would help me to get that footage. Now, again, reviews and things like that, you know, that's something I'm still thinking about. But again, I'm not too sure, because that's probably going to be yet another channel, or at least another thing that I'll have to do. And I'm just thinking, is it really worth doing that? Because let's be real. I mean, I do enjoy talking about gear, but at the same time, I don't want it to take over too much, because then I might end up getting a bit carried away with it, and that's not really what I'm all about. But heck, if you guys are really interested in that, just let me know. But at the moment, I'm going to assume for the meantime, not for now. I'm going to say for now, that's something to just think about. Like, don't commit straight away. But apart from that, I am thinking, as well as that, you know, doing voiceovers with that stock footage, you know, that's not going to be anything, that won't be too tricky. I mean, heck, voiceovers sometimes, they do go a long way. But again, that could be like maybe another idea for a sketch. Who knows? It's all something to think about, something to bear in mind. But again, only just little ideas here and there, a little bit of inspiration. But anyway, I think we'll probably end this episode off right there. As if I go on any longer, I would definitely be boring you guys to tears, as I probably already have done, as I've gone over 20 minutes. And, you know, if you guys have stuck around till this point in the video, be sure to give yourself a big pat on the back. And while you're there, be sure to hit the like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to share this video around with your friends. And, of course, make sure you go ahead and check out my socials down below in the description of this video. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed. Take great care, stay safe, and I will see you all in the next one.